Welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for Republicans running for the 11th Congressional District. This event is being recorded. I am Susan Craighead, President of the League of Women Voters of Naperville. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose candidates for public office. You can rely on the League to prevent fair and civil candidate events where each candidate is allowed an equal chance to respond. Primary Election Day 2024 is March 19th, but you can already request a vote by mail ballot, and early voting begins February 8th. Now is the time to make your plan for how you will cast your ballot. We hope that part of your plan is to educate yourself on the candidates and issues in order to confidently vote the whole ballot. In addition to watching candidate events live or recorded, you may also find candidate information on vote411.org, our online nonpartisan voter guide. All candidates have been invited to respond to questions, and their answers appear unedited. Complete candidate information will be available on Vote 411 as of February 8th. A video of this candidate forum will also be linked. And now let me introduce Barb Lyman, our moderator for tonight.
Thank you, Susan. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Candidate Forum for the Republican 11th Congressional District of Illinois, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Naperville, with support from the Leagues of Women Voters of the Aurora area and Downers Grove, Woodbridge, and Lisle. My name is Barb Lyman, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton and your moderator for this evening. I live in West Chicago, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forums this evening. The League of Women Voters, as Susan said, is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civil civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. I now would like to invite the candidates to turn on their videos. Thank you. Participating in tonight's forum are the Republican candidates for the Illinois 11th Congressional District, candidate Jerry Evans, candidate Susan Hathaway-Altman, and candidate Kevin Mercado. The format tonight is a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, the news media, opposing candidates, etc., to fact-check statements made by the candidates if necessary. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned the ground rules by the deadline established in the invitation. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with their 2-minute opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions for 2 minutes. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 2-minute closing statement, continuing our alternating pattern. As a member of the League will be acting as timer, and I will enforce the time limits. Candidates, you will see a slide to let you know that you have 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then stop. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to politely finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. To ensure that questions for tonight's forum represents a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters has reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. Finally, I want to say how appreciative we are of the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who have agreed to be here tonight to share their ideas and goals. So let us begin. Candidate Evans, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and for all who made this forum possible. My name is Jerry. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 amazing sons with a 3rd child on the way. And I'm a business owner. I own a music school that I started from scratch, as well as a commercial property. And I believe in the hope and the promise of America. And that's why I'm running. And right now, I'm simply not okay with the direction of the Joe Biden administration and the far left policies that he's taking our country. And so I'm running to go ahead, number one, to secure our southern border, to stop illegal immigration and have good and sensible immigration policy. Number two, I want to go ahead and stand up for a healthy economy that lowers inflation and works for the common family and the everyday family who's just trying to put food on the table and trying to give their kids opportunity. I also care tremendously about standing up for educational opportunity and making sure that money is following students and not systems, and that children have the best opportunity to go ahead and succeed in life. But in the end, I really want to make the 11th Congressional District and be a part of it being one of the best places to raise a family, start a business, and for people to experience their dreams. I've been thankful to be endorsed by people like former Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, Bob Thomas, former Bolingbrook Mayor Roger Clare, State Senator Colonel Craig Wilcox, as well as Naperville City Councilman Josh McBroom, and a number of others. In addition to that, I've been very thankful to be able to go ahead and in the first 3.5 months of my candidacy, raise over $200,000 so we can run a successful campaign that stands up for conservative and Republican values in the 11th District. Thank you again.
Thank you. Candidate Hathaway-Altman, your 2-minute opening statement, please. You want to unmute yourself? Good.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name's Susan Hathaway-Altman. I'm from Geneva, Illinois, and I'm the mother of 3 incredible girls, a grandmother of 2, and I was a foster mother of 9 children. I serve in quite a few community programs with my church as an advocate for residents in long-term care facilities, and do other things like foster dogs, and the list goes on. I roll up my sleeves. I work very, very hard every day. And the reason I'm running is because I love the United States of America. My life has been the epitome of the American dream. I grew up in a small coal mining town near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a loving mother and my dad that was in the artillery and the US Army and then became a pipe fitter. And when Dad got laid off during the steel collapse of the 80s, it was extremely hard for us. And I didn't get to go to college. Instead, I got married and I began working my way up from being a waitress all the way up to a prominent business leader today. And I've been doing that for the past 30 years plus. I'm a true leader, and I live in this incredible country where anything is possible. I can see the American dream fading, though, under this current administration, and my true determination and grit are needed in Congress. So, you know, the American way of life is in a sharp decline morally, economically, and with our local and national security. And we're actually under attack from within. Our suburban neighborhoods are becoming unsafe. Taxes are on the rise. Criminals are coming in our wide open border and bringing toxic drugs with them. And our national debt is racking up 43+ billion. Can you even believe that number? So as Americans, we only have one choice: to put our differences aside, be part of the solution on the path to a better America. And again, my name is Susan Hathaway-Altman. I've been also really proud of my endorsements. Senators DeWitt and Severson, Laura Palestrini. I've had several that are legislatures and otherwise in the 11th District.
Thank you so much, Candidate.
Thank you.
Candidate Mercado, your 2-minute opening statement.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kent Mercado. I'm running for the United States Congress here, obviously in the 11th District. I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters and for hosting this event. I really appreciate the opportunity to express things. I'm a devoted father and husband, and I've been married for 32 years. I have 3 wonderful adult children, and I'm 6th generation Illinois resident. I'm a physician, an attorney, a businessman, and a humanitarian. I've also had the experience of extensive experience in natural disaster relief. I donated 1,000 hospital beds for Katrina. As a physician, I performed amputations in Haiti. And as an attorney, I was able to procure $10 million worth of supplies for Lahore, Pakistan. These are just some of the examples that I believe make me the most capable and qualified candidate. I've been part of and I've served the 11th District community for over 30 years. And I've had the privilege to listen to thousands of residents about issues that are important to them. And I've heard their concerns, and most of them want me to focus on kitchen table issues. We're talking about cost of living and bringing job taxes, obviously lowering taxes, educational opportunities such as job-specific training and apprenticeships, as well as your four-year colleges. You want safe communities. You want secure borders. Obviously, close the borders. You want quality, affordable, physical, and mental health care. You want to destigmatize mental health care. I'm ready to fight for you here in Washington. You know, your voice matters, and together I think we can tackle these issues. Your perspectives can shape the policies that truly affect our community. As an attorney, I've actually written and implemented policies at the state and federal level. I'm a finisher and I get things done. Let's make Congress a place where your voice can be heard. Join me on this journey, and together we'll find solutions for challenges. I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm ready to be your voice in Congress. Together, let's make a difference.
Thank you. It's now time for our first question. And this question will begin with candidate Hathaway-Altman. The first question is this: what is a legislator's responsibility to ensure a healthy democracy rooted in our Constitution? And I'll just repeat it one more time. What is a legislator's responsibility to ensure a healthy democracy rooted in our Constitution? Candidate Hathaway-Altman.
Thank you. Well, that's the number one priority of a legislator, that we follow the U.S. Constitution, all of the amendments and documents that make up the Constitution, including the Declaration of Independence. And it's really all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for our people that live in our district and all of the U.S. So the real priority that I have as far as making it a healthy democracy is to go in, and with my business experience, again, much of it in negotiations, business development, I have many skills that I work well with others, communication-wise, verbal, written, as well as just coming to the table with real solutions that people can buy off with. So we need to come together as Congress. We need to be conduits to one another to work effectively together so that we can put forth those bills, those laws that really go back to our Constitution of the United States of America. And you have my full commitment that if I am your Congresswoman, that I will absolutely do that without fail.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado, you have 2 minutes to answer the same question. What is a legislator's responsibility to ensure a healthy democracy rooted in our Constitution?
Well, I agree with Susan. It's to follow the Constitution. But my caveat is a little different. It's to listen to your constituents. It's to hear their voices and making sure that you're representing them and representing their ideas. Point of being a congressman, we live in a constitutional republic. Do not live in a democracy. We are their voice, and we have to represent everybody. This is such a convoluted district, the way that they changed it, where we have places all the way up in Boone County to Lamont. You have the inner city of Aurora. You've got the high-tech quarter going down 88. You have the farming communities in Boone. You've got a lot of different beautiful areas over there in Geneva and that whole area through there in St. Charles. And every aspect of the district is very different. Every issues what are important to the constituency are different. So you have to be able to make decisions predicated by the plurality of the opinions that are needed to make sure that you're representing and that you are the voice of the people.
Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Evans, the same question for 2 minutes answer for you.
Thank you. The Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, is the supreme law of the land. And I have to be straightforward. There are so many legislators, whether that be at the federal level or any other level, who don't understand that. They simply don't understand that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and we must be committed to that. So I want to let you know that I'm committing to stand by the U.S. Constitution if I were to be in U.S. Congress. Is that it's not going to be about my own personal privy opinions. It's going to be about staying committed to the U.S. Constitution, and then also staying committed to listening to the voice of the voters. There are so many voters who feel left behind by this administration, by the Joe Biden administration, because they feel like they have needs when it comes to lowering inflation, when it comes to securing our border, when it comes to educational needs and needs for their family, and they feel like they're not getting listened to. So along with being under the Constitution, I'm committed to listening to the people of this district and finding pragmatic and practical solutions that will serve them and help them. And one other thing I want to comment on is that it has been extremely disappointing and extremely saddening by the lack of commitment of the Joe Biden administration to the U.S. Constitution, especially as it comes to defending our southern border. It's Joe Biden's responsibility to make sure that is secure and right now he is not committed to that. And so I want to let you know that if I were to be in U.S. Congress, I'm going to do everything I can within my own power to make sure our border is secure, to stop illegal immigration. And then we also have a sensible and a pragmatic immigration policy that works for our whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado, this question will begin with you. What proposals do you have to address the increasing cost of living? You have 2 minutes. And you're muted. Candidate Mercado, you're muted.
Okay. I don't need the whole entire minute because 2 minutes, because the proposals that I would address the cost of living are as such. You need to lower taxes to increase disposable income. You know, this can be achieved by reducing income taxes and sales taxes and other taxes as far as the cost of living. But you also need to renew the 2017 tax cut. But you also need to increase the SALT deductions, which are the state and local taxes. Right now, it's currently capped at $10,000. The 2017 for personal needs to be re-upped. It needs to be revoted on. Then you need to reduce regulations. Anything that increase the cost of living, you're going to have to eliminate the Biden agenda, as Jerry had pointed out. Anything that they're doing to go ahead and stymie businesses, anything else like that, it's really horrible. So by doing that, business can operate more efficiently and then pass on the savings to the customers. You need to encourage entrepreneurship to create jobs and reduce the cost of living. This can be done by providing tax incentives. You can do other benefits to small businesses. There's a lot of different things that you can. Even I met with the Illinois Manufacturers Association, and some of them are small, some of them are a little bit bigger. They're having trouble getting workers. And one of the things is that they're not trained. You can use federal dollars to form apprenticeships. So there's a lot of different things that you can do on a federal level. And then we need to invest in infrastructure to make things run and work better and easier. You need better roads, you need better transportation. And all of this is going to reduce the cost of goods. We also need to work on grids, electric grids and Wi-Fi and all sorts of other things to help it, because that will facilitate things. By having a better infrastructure, it'll lower costs and it'll reduce the amount of cost of living.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, your thoughts.
So first off, I want to let you know that America needs to be energy independent and focused on being a net exporter of energy. Right now, we have had the Joe Biden administration continually undercut America's ability to be a net exporter of energy and be energy independent. Because of course, when energy costs rise, not only does that affect people at the gas tank, it actually will affect people with their electrical bill and affect people with their ability to power their electrical vehicles. It affects food costs and affects everything else. And for me as a small business owner, obviously the rising costs have caused me to have to raise my prices recently. And I've heard that there are some parents who just have a difficult time with that because they want to make sure they can put food on the table. So I want to let you know that I'm committed towards America being energy independent, but also an energy policy that's an all of the above approach, where we reopen the Keystone Pipeline, where we more freely allow for government leases on public lands, where we are utilizing American oil and clean natural gas, but also allowing freedom of choice so that those people who are creating new opportunities in other more renewable areas of energy have freedom of choice to go ahead and make things work and make things even better for America in future generations. In addition to that, I would also say that the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act must be made permanent. That's going to be extremely important. And then also, I want to let you know that we need to focus on, of course, balancing the federal budget, but I would actually propose a balanced budget constitutional amendment, because that would make for a better business environment, which of course would help families and help parents put food on the table and put some good Christmas presents under the Christmas tree. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hathaway-Altman.
Drill, baby, drill. That's basically it. We have to become energy independent in this country. We need to drill, but you also need somebody like me that's going to negotiate with companies to come back to the United States, oil companies and tier 1 suppliers that don't have any confidence in us anymore because our failed promises through this administration for green energy and all of the climate change promises that were never delivered and are not happening. So I feel that that's the biggest piece of it. Also, I would recommend we go into every single department in the national government, look across the board for a 10 to 15% pay cut to all of the spending. So except for entitlement programs and with exception to the military, which I feel we have to really boost up the military spend. So we have to do checks and balances. We have to look at every area of cost. We have to eliminate programs that shouldn't even be out there that are wasteful, and also people that aren't really performing in their positions. We need to take encumbrances away from small business. 60% of the people hired in this country are small business workers. Joe Biden really ruined the small business, as well as some of the state legislatures, especially here in Illinois, where there's tons of requirements like 401k programs for small businesses, taxes, people costs. We have to reduce government regulations. And with my 30+ years on the supply chain, I know how to do that. There's too many breaks in the supply chain. We need to make more American-based products and services here on our soil. I'm the leader in this room. I can make these things happen. And I'm the one you should choose for that, for sure, to get this economy back on track. I don't agree with the freedom of choice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
The next question will begin with Candidate Evans. Candidate Evans and all, what should the federal government's role be in addressing women's reproductive rights?
So I think the first thing that I want to say is I want to point out that the Dobbs decision by the U.S. Supreme Court was rightfully decided. The Roe versus Wade decision from decades ago was not the right decision. I believe it was based upon judicial activism that was not adherent to the U.S. Constitution. So I was very happy when the Dobbs decision came down and actually put that decision then back to the states. And so from my understanding, this decision has come back to the states, and I'm running for federal office. And so what I want to do in federal office in terms of my policy proposals, that even though I care tremendously about the unborn, is I would first off, we need to go ahead and end taxpayer-funded abortion. Secondly, I really do believe that we need to make sure we have much more funding for pregnancy centers to help mothers who are in need. Pregnancy centers help with sometimes food or supplies or free ultrasounds and do tremendous things to help mothers who feel like they have nowhere else to turn. So I really believe we need to heavily focus on pregnancy centers. In addition, I would actually favor a mandate to have child support be given to mothers who are pregnant. So if there's a man who gets a woman pregnant, and obviously it's verifiable that she's pregnant with their child, then that man needs to go ahead and give child support, because we need to take care of mothers for all of childhood, not just for when the baby is born. And there are other things we could talk about, but what I would say is, again, I'm very happy about the Dobbs decision and overturning Roe versus Wade. And as it's been turned back to the states, those are my policy proposals. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hathaway-Altman.
Well, I'm pro-life, and Roe versus Wade was overturned as unconstitutional based on the 10th Amendment, and it's exactly where it needs to be with the states. And mainly it's because of the court cases. I mean, there's going to be a lot of court cases in and out as there were over the years, and it belongs there, right? So, but I want to talk a little bit about my advocacy for women and my advocacy for women's healthcare. I'm a true advocate for women. I think we seem to have lost our zeal for that lately. I run mentoring programs. I go into disadvantaged neighborhoods, and I do a lot for women to help them with life skills and with education so that they can get great jobs and be independent. I'm driven to help every woman I can, and also their goals. And as far as the healthcare is concerned, I believe in medical freedoms because this is the United States of America, and women have the absolute worst healthcare. They have the most cancer. They have the most major illnesses. And especially marginalized women, Black and brown women, and low-income women. And we need to step in and to help in that respect. As far as, pro-life, as we talked about before, I'm actually anti-death, really, more than pro-life. I don't want anyone to die in wars, and we can achieve that through the best foreign economic policy out there. I believe also that our precious seniors, they need to get the best care that they can in their golden years. And I also believe in veterans healthcare, and you'll see a lot about that when I talk and on my website, and their rights as well, and thanking them especially for their service to this country.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado.
Again, in light of the Dobbs versus the Jackson Women's Health Organization decision, the issue of reproductive rights has shifted from the federal to the state level. As a constitutional Republican, I believe in the 10th Amendment, which separates the federal and state jurisdiction. Therefore, I believe that the federal government does not have a role in this issue, and I will not support any federal legislative efforts or executive orders regarding this. Here in Illinois, now that we're back in Illinois, coming back to the state, they've gone too far. And I concur, they've gone too far, allowing access up to 39 weeks. It's become a tourist center. They're setting up clinics along the border. They have signs in Missouri and Iowa, in Kentucky, to have some of these clinics as almost like a medical tourism that they're having. Now, I think we've gone too far here, and I believe that there's room for some type of reasonable compromise. What that compromise is, you need to have an educated choice. If you're going to have it, and I will say that if you're going to offer something, you have to offer the gamut. You need to offer access to ultrasounds. You need to offer agencies that can help support a pregnancy if that is the woman's choice. So it's not just when you say choice, it's not just given one choice. It should be given all choices. So thank you. I'm a constitutional Republican.
Thank you. The next question will begin with candidate Hathaway-Altman. Do you support aid for Ukraine, Israel, and/or Palestinian people? Why or why not?
Okay, well, let me just say I totally support this country and Americans first. We need to close our border before we do anything else. We're worried about everyone else's border. We need to close our border, and we need to enforce our immigration laws. The migrant crisis has caused the financial and resource strain on the entire country, and especially in Illinois. And the only help for the 11th District can come from a federal level due to our status as a sanctuary state. So we've got lots of issues here. And I can say that as far as Ukraine, we certainly don't want Ukraine to lose this war. But we were put in this situation by Joe Biden and the weakness that we have in this country and our perception by other countries. And so, unfortunately, we're here, and now I have to clean all of this up. But I can say that until we close our border, we should not look at any other, Ukraine money, any other types of funds. No, I do not support any Palestinian aid because I believe that the NGOs are doing a pretty good job at that, and they can actually park themselves close to the border in Egypt with mercy ships and otherwise to really help in that respect. And I feel that we need to stop participating in proxy wars, and we need to stop being involved in intervening, because that is not what the Constitution of the United States says. But I will say that I'm 100% in support of standing up for our biggest ally, which is Israel.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado, do you support aid for Ukraine, Israel, and/or the Palestinian people? Why or why not? You're muted, sir.
I understand the need for global peace and stability, and for some aid for all three. It's necessary. I get that. However, it should be limited funds when there's so many pressing domestic issues here that require funding. We need to address things here, whether it's the border, or whether it's helping our homeless vets. There's all sorts of things that we need to address, and spending way too much money is not how I would do it. As regarding Ukraine, it's important to support Ukraine in its effort to resist Russia, but against the Russian aggression, with military aid to promote the stability in the region, but no blank checks. You need to have some type of stop, and you have to have, this is what we're asking for, and I would prefer just military equipment so that we know what we're giving, and not giving a blank check or doing that. I support military aid to Israel, since they're our most important and strongest ally in the region. I mean, we have the best relationship. They're the only democracy within the Middle East, and it helps us promote stability in the region and advance our interests as a country. As far as the Palestinian people, I support humanitarian aid for them, but certainly not for Hamas. When they gave $350 million just to give there, what we need to do is that we will give to the centers, to the other things, where the people are being held. I only support humanitarian effort, and when the Israelis win, then I'll support the infrastructure, because I want to support the Palestinian people, not Hamas.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, the same question to you.
Thank you. First off, I want to say that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and it's an evil organization that has unfortunately taken the lives of countless people, as well as many innocent Israelis, especially in what we saw in 2023. And so I want to let you know that I stand firmly behind Israel's desire to go ahead and defend itself from such atrocities. And I do stand behind Israel's desire to go ahead and eliminate Hamas. Because Hamas's desire is to go ahead and eliminate Israel and murder innocent people. And I'm not okay with that. So I do believe we should support Israel. Of course, we need to have proper accountability with any funds that we give. We need to have proper checks and balances with that to make sure the money is being used properly. But I want to let you know that, again, I do support Israel, and we need to make sure that they have the ability to remain as a nation and defend themselves from Hamas. On the other side of the spectrum, I want to let you know that I do not want Russia to go ahead and eliminate and take over Ukraine. I believe that a win for Russia is actually a win for China, and China is our greatest geopolitical threat right now. So I do support aid to Ukraine, but there's some caveats. The first thing is I actually do support right now not giving any more aid to Ukraine until we secure our southern border. I would support our current House Speaker, Michael Johnson, in his effort to say, if we want aid for Ukraine, if we want to continue to do that, we must go ahead and secure the border and make Joe Biden go ahead and take initiative to sign a bill that actually secures the border. In addition to that, I want to let you know that if for some reason aid is given to Ukraine, it's got to be monetary, and there must be much better accountability with money, proper checks and balances, and of course, no boots on the ground.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado, what do you see as the federal government's role in mitigating the impact of climate change? And you're muted, sir, again.
I'm not actually sure if the federal government has a role in mitigating climate change. What we need to do is we need to work on that. I do believe that we do have an impact as humans, but certainly not at the level that we need to, period. I see computer models, and the only ones that are reporting are the ones that are showing things. I take care of my cousin down in Florida, and I was told in 2012 that that Miami be underwater. We spent an entire day on the beach, not on the second floor, but on the beach. Some of the things that need to be addressed, we need to go ahead and work on. Is what does the federal government need to do? They need to work on deregulating certain energy things so that we can do that. You can work and spend more money on building the infrastructure. Those are things that you can do for this transition. It's going to be a slower transition, and that should be good. But as far as things go, I do believe that that we are fine, and I'm not a big. 1 second, I had my computer just locked me out for a second here. Give me 1 second.
We can see and hear you just fine, in case you're wondering.
Not a problem. All right. But just in general, it's a very limited role. It's an actual very limited role as far as what the candidates or what the government should do or how they participate in helping. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, the same question. What do you see as the federal government's role in mitigating the impact of climate change?
Thank you. I think the first thing I want to say is I know that there's a lot of division about this, but my perspective is, of course we want cleaner air. Of course we want cleaner water. Of course we want to have a planet that continues to get better and better over time, in America that does better and better over time. For me, what I would say is maybe something counterintuitive. I actually would support energy independence for America and good energy policy when it comes to oil and clean natural gas, because actually when America focuses on energy independence and is still utilizing certain fossil fuels, because of the way that we process them, we're actually cleaner than other nations, Venezuela being an example. And so I do believe that one of the responsible things we can do is making sure that we are being a net exporter of energy, being energy independent, and of course, allowing an all of the above approach through choice and focusing on clean air, clean water, and leaving our planet to be better for the next generation and the next generation after that.
Candidate Hathaway-Altman, your thoughts? And you're on mute.
Sorry about that. When the technology is there for renewables and when there's actual traction on, improving things because of these renewables and other energy sources, well then, yes, we certainly can adopt those new technologies and principles. And certainly, I think we do that in a natural way. But to have the federal government as involved in this climate change issue and Green New Deal, it has absolutely turned our economy upside down with absolutely no impact on climate change. So look at China, for example. We're being asked not to drill. We're being asked to hold back on fossil fuels. We're being asked to hold back on clean energy that we get through natural gas and fracking and everything else. But yet China is opening 1 coal plant per week. Okay, we're shutting them all down. We're not in here in Illinois, and even in our district, the large nuclear reactors, we've been told that we can only have micro reactors now. So now we've got to have a plan and more money in a state that's faltering economically, and their pension programs are almost collapsing, which will mean 2008 all over again. This is just ludicrous. So, if China's putting toxic chemicals in the air and causing cancer and causing, damage to the climate, they should be addressed first. But we all should move toward the green energy as the technology unfolds. But I'm a capitalist. Why is the government involved in this? Actually, we could have great small business people and companies come up with the technology around the green initiatives.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, this question will begin with you. You've all mentioned your thoughts on the current border situation, but the question submitted is, what are your priorities for immigration reform? Candidate Evans?
Thank you for the question. There are so many things we could talk about when it comes to immigration reform. I know that it's hard to accomplish all of that within a 2-minute segment, but I'm going to hit on the main points right now. First off, again, we have to be committed to the U.S. Constitution, and Joe Biden, along with the U.S. Congress and the Senate, needs to secure the border. And I think ways we can do that are, first off, making sure we have a proper border barrier, because that we find that that's effective, as well as we need to end catch and release. And so what's happening is a lot of illegal immigrants will come across the border and claim asylum and then be processed very quickly and led into the interior of our country, where they're not supposed to officially come back for years for some sort of hearing. And that is obviously not something that makes any sense whatsoever. So we need to make sure, I would advocate for a remain in the first safe country policy, so that if you want to come in and claim asylum, you can't do that by crossing the border illegally. You have to go ahead and have your claim processed while you're waiting, whether it be in Mexico or an earlier country that you may be traveling from. In addition to that, realistically, there are immigration laws that we can enforce to actually help solve this problem that Joe Biden isn't enforcing. We need to do that. We need to make sure we are having proper funding for Border Patrol agents. We simply don't have enough Border Patrol agents, and we don't have the right type of policies to help them. And we also need quick asylum adjudication. Again, because of how long it takes for someone to go ahead and get a hearing about their asylum claim, sometimes that's going to be years. And so I believe we need to have asylum adjudication while someone is in custody within 72 hours. And within 72 hours, if they have a valid asylum claim, then we can go ahead and help them as they transition to the country. But if they do not, if they're gaming the system, if they're cheating or lying, then of course their asylum claim is denied, and the proper process happens from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hathaway-Altman, what are your priorities for immigration reform?
Well, first of all, the migrants, I have a lot of sympathy for them, because they are coming to this country with a false narrative. They've been given a false narrative. They're saying, oh, you can have this great life in the United States and everybody can come. Every country must have borders. Every country must have a border. And like Europe now, they're realizing that. Same with us. We have to do the same thing. My dad, as well as my mom's grandparents, were immigrants to this country, came through Ellis Island. So we need migrants to come, and for several reasons, not just for our own needs, but also because we want that melting pot. We want those cultures. But what we don't want is people that aren't assimilated to the United States of America. That's why we have immigration laws, and we need to enforce our current immigration laws. I do believe in improvement processing at the border, however, only as it relates to the current immigration laws. Mr. Evans talked about the quick asylum adjudication, 72 hours. That really smacks of what Bill Foster's bill is in the fall, to increase all of the lawyers, that every single migrant will have a lawyer quickly at the border, and that will cost us billions and billions of dollars. So I don't agree with that. But what I can say is, let's, enact those, at least, some of those 1,000 different solutions and laws that were in place in the last administration. And let's be creative so that migrants can come, but they assimilate into our culture and our government, not the opposite.
Candidate Mercado, your thoughts on immigration reform?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it all begins closing the border. I do not agree with the Democrat process of the open border. There's been a falsehood that was relayed that says, Altman had mentioned, where these people are being sold a lie. They're told that you can come in and claim asylum. Asylum is a very limited exception. Only 25,000 per year is how we're supposed to do it. The way that they do that, there's a caveat here, where they're told that they can claim asylum, not adjudicate asylum, claim asylum, and then they could come into the country. So now they're technically legal. Well, we need to enforce the asylum restrictions since most of these people claiming really don't qualify. We need safe and secure borders while advocating for legal immigration. We're a nation of immigrants in search of freedoms and democracies and opportunities to pursue the American dream. And we welcome those who come legally, whether it's through an H-1, H-2 visa, or even some of the limited asylums. But we need to focus and do that. We have to, end chain migration. That's where the families of the families of the families get to keep on coming in. We need to end the visa lottery. We need to verify who these people are who are coming in, if they are who they say they are. And I absolutely oppose amnesty as a mass cure for this. So there are certain things that need to be done, but those are my main things. And I also support a decrease in the total number of people that are allowed to come into this country. Part of this little deal that they're trying to sign right now between the Senate and the House is they want to limit it to 4,000 or 5,000 people a day. That's 1.5 to 2, almost 2 million people a year. No, that's way too many.
Thank you. Well, candidates, this is going to be our last question, so you can take a deep breath. But in the question will begin with candidate Hathaway-Altman. What further legislation would you promote, if any, to reduce gun violence in this country?
Well, I'm sitting in the state that has the most gun laws in the entire nation, and it really doesn't do us any good, does it? So I would not promote any additional gun laws at all. And I guess that's my answer.
Thank you. Candidate Mercado?
There's a lot of things that need to be addressed. I don't support generic federal laws to ban whether it's semi-automatic weapons, but I would support special training and maybe some licensing for some of them, maybe increasing the age to 21. I certainly support universal backgrounds and checks, but you need to share the information among the different agencies. So many of these people have been lost in the loophole because they're not sharing the information. Raising the minimum age on certain long guns and things, that could be a little bit tricky because you have a lot of people have family. If you're in a rural area where hunting or gaming are part of your rural community, there's so many different things as far as allowing guns. I concur. In Chicago, we have more gun laws than anywhere else, and see where it gets us. If you have a specific law that will help not only the community, but it will not disenfranchise the legal gun owners, I'm more than willing to look at it. And I'm more than willing to listen and work with you. And together we can create a wonderful law if necessary. I gave some suggestions that I'm open to, but to come in and say no guns or registering, I don't like the way that they did that. If you have guns, if you have long guns in Illinois now, you have to register like a sex offender. There's zero reason that you need to do. If you're a legal firearms owner, make sure that you work with the federal firearms license. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Stopping the transfer between states. That's one of the things that I would agree, and I would work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, your thoughts.
Thank you. I think the first thing I would say is that the Second Amendment is essential to the Constitution. And I believe that a Second Amendment is very, very, very important and essential to a free society, but also a safe society. And with that, of course, I think all of us in our hearts, we want to see more safety. We want to see less violence, whether that be gun violence or any other type of violence. We want to see less than that. And I want to let you know that I believe we can move in the right direction with a commitment to the Second Amendment, as well as making sure we're also pursuing better addressing of the issue of mental health. So many times we hear about shooters who are hurting innocent children or hurting innocent people, and they had mental health issues that were not addressed. And I believe we can do much better. I believe there's much further we can go to help people who are dealing with mental health issues so that they don't get to those tragic and very, very sad extremes. In addition to that, I actually would really want to focus on, as a music school owner myself, want to focus on funding for school safety, because I believe that school safety is not a partisan issue whatsoever. I think we all want our children safe, just like I want the children at my school to be safe as well. And I think we can do better with making sure there's better funding for that, better funding potentially for officers to be in schools. We have better funding for bulletproof glass and locks and doors and single points of entry. And there are so many tragic occurrences, even of school shootings, that could have been prevented simply by some very safe school funding or school safety funding measures. So I want to let you know, I would definitely support that, again, with a commitment to the Second Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's now time for closing statements. You will each have 2 minutes to make a closing statement, and we'll begin with candidate Mercado. And you're muted, sir.
Thank you again for hosting this forum. I truly appreciate this opportunity. I'm Dr. Mercado, Dr. Kim Mercado, and I'm ready to be your voice in Congress. And again, together we can make a difference. Our district deserves a representative who will work tirelessly to address the needs and champion the causes that are important to them. Your voice needs to be heard. I will fight for you in Washington. We're going to reduce costs of living. We're going to ensure public safety. We'll secure the borders. We'll improve education. Give all sorts of different opportunities when it comes to education and school choice and all sorts of different things that you need to have. And I'll certainly champion the cause for physical and mental health care and destigmatize a lot of the mental health care. I want to make sure that we work to reduce regulations that increase the cost of living. So we need to lower taxes to increase disposable income. We need to encourage small businesses to create jobs by providing tax incentives and other things. We need to address the migrant issue. I've spent my whole life tackling tough issues, and I'll continue to advocate on your behalf because your voice matters, and together we can shape policies that truly reflect the community. Let's make Congress a place where your voice is heard. Join me in this journey, and together we'll find solutions to these challenges. I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm ready to be your voice in Congress, and together we can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Evans, your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you. Again, I'm Jerry Evans. It would be an honor to have your support on March 19th and to have your vote. And I want to let you know that I would like to be your candidate to go ahead and stand up for your values in this district. But also, I really believe that we can get to where America is promised to be. I believe we can make this district one of the best districts in America to go ahead and raise a family, start a business, and for people to see their dreams and the American dream. And I want to go ahead and fight for you in Congress to go ahead and do that. I believe I have the resolve to go ahead and stand up for what's right and make the tough decisions and not be vulnerable to the opinions of other people or special interests in Washington. Instead, I want to be your voice to go ahead and bring your values in this district. And I want to let you know I will fight to go ahead and secure the border, make sure we have a free economy where we lower inflation, make sure we support law enforcement, support educational opportunity for our young children. And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Again, it'd be an honor to have your vote. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you. And candidate Hathaway-Altman, your 2-minute closing statement.
I believe in my constituents, and I believe in Americans first. I'm the true leader in this forum, and we need leadership right now in Congress so badly. I'm a capitalist. I believe in God. I'm the most conservative person here based on this debate and the last debate. I know how to get things done. And as you can see, we're faltering right now. I will lead you out of this economic crisis. I will close the borders, and I'll work tirelessly with my members in Congress. I really appreciate all of the help that I've been given by precinct committeemen, by everyone that has volunteered to walk homes and to talk to our constituents. And I can say that I will give that back to you, and I will give back to my constituents if you choose me as your congressman. So thank you. I'm very humbled by this experience. And I appreciate the time tonight to get our messages out. And thank you. God bless America.
Thank you. Thank you all. On behalf of the community, I want to thank you for taking the time for being with us this evening and applaud you for running for office and sharing your opinions, goals, and dreams for our country. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you who have watched this forum or will watch this forum will vote and inspire your family and friends and neighbors to do the same. Early voting will begin on February 8th at election authorities and on March 4th at permanent polling places as designated by each county. To vote by mail, please request a ballot from your home county's election division website. Additional information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and the Naperville League of Women Voters website and social media. Recording of this forum for Republican candidates for the Illinois 11th Congressional District can be found on the Naperville League of Women Voters YouTube channel. So once again, thank you, candidates. Good luck on the campaign trail, and good night, everyone.